Hi guys. So I'm going to go through chapter 11. From now on, I'm going to start giving you these workbook sheets. So I'm going to, I think I'll send you the e-copy anyway, but I'll print them off anyway for you. So you can print them off yourself if you have, maybe you can get away with it. Great. Chapter 11, national insurance. So I'll break this up maybe three or four chapters. But let's go and see how let's get on with it. So national insurance. Um, Here we are, national insurance. So these are the headlines. We will look at the different NICs, calculate them, look at what the gross earnings mean, and look at when these are collected. There's this 3,000 figure in terms of employment allowance. So sometimes saying these things out of context help. Employers can, if you like, deduct 3,000 from their NI, employers NI, if they have more than at least one employee working for them. So self-owned businesses can't do that. And then we will look at so basically class one. We'll look at class one in general, covering employers and employees. So this is for the employed person. And then class two and class four, which are to do with the self-employed, fully self-employed individual. And then, of course, within class one, we will look at class 1A. Probably this is all maybe coming back. Class 1A is paid by the employer on benefits, if you like, that we discussed in the earlier chapters. Okay, great. Let's carry on. Let's carry on. So very quickly, and I'll do the examples in prolong. So the aim is to get through the end of example one for the first video. So this is a kind of nice template, and then, again, like I say, this is where we're going to be the direction. So far I've been using the textbook, but now I feel a bit more comfortable going into the workbook a little. So national insurance split into two parts, of course. We have the employed person, the employed individual, and the self-employed individual. They pay class 2 and class 4. This is £2.85. Saying things out of context helps per week. For example, you might remember that. But your earnings have to be over a certain amount. We're going to see that in a second. And there are thresholds for all the rest. No thresholds for there, actually. You pay 30.8 on whatever it is, on the gross earnings. So let us look at that. This is broken up into what the employee will pay, and this gets deducted from your salary. I've noticed it. National insurance, this is called class 1 employee. Your employers will also pay the class 1 employers, and your employers will also pay a class 1A, right, as well. So let us carry on very quickly. Next page. So here's a sort of breakdown of what is going on here. This is given to you in the exam, these boundaries, if you like, and annual limits. But in terms of knowledge, I guess you have to sort of remember these sort of little things. You always start paying these national insurance on the age of 18. And think of it as the government giving you some kind of tax break by making sure that if you work post the state retirement age, you don't have to pay it anymore. And I guess this changes from year to year, but that's just what you need to know, the state retirement age. And then, of course, organizations have to keep paying it on your behalf, but you at least have something of a break, if that helps you remember what's going on there. That's how I remember it. In terms of earnings, we are talking about gross earnings before any deductions. That's the key issue here. So whatever it is your gross earnings would be, that's what they calculate national insurance. So you don't take off any pensions. I repeat that. You don't take off any sort of pension payments or any of those gift aid, nothing like that. Just what are your gross earnings as your contract states. Of course, that includes some interesting things like if you're given vouchers for cash. So I think I gave an example some time ago of how my wife got some Argos and H&M vouchers in addition to her salary. So those would be classified as part of her gross earnings. And of course, if your employer will reimburse your travel from, if you like, home to work. This is not typically, as you know, an allowed, this is not typically an allowed benefit. So so that has to get added on as well. Sorry, I'm just waiting for that to settle. Right, you can probably see the screen still. That excludes, while that is settling, that excludes any, of course, exempt benefits. We will come and look at that. Non-cash benefits, all those will if you like, surface and be treated under the Class 1A, sort of national insurance. Okay, whilst this is still settling, you can probably see over there that under the Class 1 employees, you can see the rates. The first 8,164 is yours, free. So basically, fundamentally, if you're earning less than 8,164, which is pretty low, when I say pretty low, even for minimum wage, by the time I do 8,164 divided by 12, that's about £680 a month. So even if I divided that by 4 weeks, that's about £170 a week. So, well, gross, if you like. That's interesting. So £170 a week gross, and then you knock off 20%. I'm just doing this so that's take home about £136 a week. So you can see here that it's really unfair to start taxing this anyone earning at that level. National insurance. So the limit, if you like, is 8,164. You can see that, and those are in the tables for you. I'm sure you can use those. You might remember it just naturally now. And then it goes from 0%, of course, to 12, if you like that band. And then above that, you have the 2%, right? And then, of course, the Class 1, like I said, 0% for the 8,164, and then 13.8 on the rest. I mean, it's not here, but the Class 1A, straight 13.8 on whatever it is, right? On whatever that amount is. So whatever that benefit is, whatever car, fuel, just saying it out of context. Hopefully you should remember. So there's no upper threshold. So just anything, whatever it is above the 8.1, whatever it is you're earning above the 8,165 is taxed at 13.8 for Class 1, and your employers will pay this. I mentioned earlier on that they have £3,000 to offset this, but we'll see that as we go along. Okay, great. I'm going to keep these try and keep these short so they're not too long. So let me state the first thing. The first thing is, in the exam, it's always going to be done yearly, right? It's always going to be done yearly. You can see it says in the exam, these are always performed on an annual basis, unless you're told otherwise. It's typically yearly. I don't remember seeing a question in it being weekly, but I know definitely I've seen some time ago. This is typically calculated weekly in reality, in practice. It's done weekly. So you should sort of divide whatever it is you have for the whole year and divide by 52 if it's done weekly, or 12 months if it's done monthly. And I meant, because in the exam they only give you when I was studying, they used to give you the weekly limits as well. So you could kind of work out what the person was over the threshold on a weekly basis. But because your exam is very much based on the year, they tend to give you just the annual amounts. All right, great. So that's those are the fundamental rules for Class 1. There's no Class 1A in this discussion just now. So I'm going to do this first example and then stop, right? When I say stop the video, and then carry on with example 2. So what do we have here? It tells us we have a character here called James. And we have James here, and we have Susan here, and James gets a salary of 16,200, and Susan gets 52,600. Sorry, let me just get my calculator. I had it there a second ago. So again, I mean, there's a range of ways to do this, but what I'm ultimately trying to do is, first of all, say that the first 8,164 is at 0%. I'll do that here as well. 8,164 is at 0%. A bit like when we do income tax. Again, like I say, a range of ways of doing this. I'll do both of them so you see how both of them are fine. You know that has to add up to this 52,600. So I guess the next question I have to ask myself is 16,200 minus 8,164. And that gives us 8,036. So 8,036 taxed at 12%. So that's those two things adding together. And of course, here the next boundary, of course, is 45,000. So I know we saw that already. 45 minus 8,164. That's 36,000. Remember this. I mean, over time, I guess you start remembering. 36,836 gets taxed at 12%. And then, if you like, I think I should change my pen color here. Make that red. Anything. So you'll hit. I mean, that's done. That bit's done. It's this bit now that we still have. So we have kind of, if you like, the first 8,164. Now we're at the 45,000. So it's anything over the 45,000. So that's the 52,600. minus 45,000 takes us to 7,600. So the 7,600 will get at percent. And so you need to literally work these out, and you will get your, if you like, your so this is 0, of course. This comes to 12% times this is calculator. That comes to 964, right? That's 964. And then here, when you do 816, of course, that's 0%. And when you do this 12%, you have 4,420. And then here you have 152. These two together give us 4,572. So this is your class 1 primary. Of course, this is what you were paying with your threshold. Now let's look at what, because it says it wants the employees and the employers. So the employers, I'm just going to do that over here very quickly. Employers, when we look at James, we look again, we literally say 8164 times 0%, of course that's 0. And then anything above that, of course, 8036 gets times 13.8%, and that takes us to 1109. That's James. And then if I do Susan over here, I mean, this is a video you could sort of almost forgive me. I'm just sort of working in little spaces. 8164 times 0%, and then I have anything over that. So literally those two things added together, if you like, which is whatever this and this, right? Because it says anything over for the employers. There is no 2% higher boundary, and that comes to 44,436 and more 13.8%, and I will get 0 here, and I will get 6132. So that's so here I have employers 1109 for James, and of course 6132 for Susan, and that's how we minutes already. So that's example 1. So that's your basic employees and employers NI. Great stuff. I'll see you in the next video when I do example 2.